All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be touching on the top props for this Thursday night showdown between the Tennessee Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this game could be ugly. It really could be. My biggest nightmare for this game is that we see Najee Harris and Derrick Henry get 2.5 yards a carry, three yards per carry, and just really this game becomes super low scoring and super not fun to watch. That's my biggest worry. But then you also have some fun backs like Jaylen Warren, Tajay Spears. Those two have looked good. You also have Deontay Johnson there. But my biggest fear is that this game could be ugly. Now, I will say the Steelers last game, and they have kind of played in some kind of bad weather games, but last game it was definitely rainy and it was definitely harder to play in for the whole team and everything like that. That being said, they didn't look that good offensively and they looked bad. Looking at the injury report, we do need to get news on Kenny Pickett if he's going to play or not. Now, he's not currently listed here, which might suggest he's going to play. He was a limited participant on Tuesday's practice, so probably looking like he's going to play. Hopefully, because, man, Mitchell Trubisky was bad. Now, a lot of it was just throwing up passes at the end of the game, but it was not good. We look at the Steelers. They're not that banged up. We look at the Titans, however. Ryan Tannehill has been ruled out. We do have DeAndre Hopkins currently questionable with a toe injury. He's expected to play. And then from there, in terms of what we're looking at, not too much. Now we go ahead and get into the slate. I do want to start with talking about Will Levis and kind of how he looked. So I will watch film for every single game for every single week. And so I just got done watching the Tennessee Titans game, and I do want to say Will Levis really looked good. He really had some eye-popping plays. There was about 3 throws where it's just like, wow, that was really good. Only one of those came on one of his touchdowns, which was on his last touchdown. The other 3 were touchdowns that any quarterback in the NFL should make. And I would argue, I think anyone who watched it would say DeAndre Hopkins clearly got away with OPI on the first touchdown. I did love the offense that they had going for Will Levis in that game. But to me, it also did seem like the Atlanta Falcons were really like, if the Titans are going to win this game, they're going to win it because Will Levis is hitting his receivers downfield. And he did just do just that. There were 2 really awesome throws, probably his 2 best throws in the game, that were not even catches. Like, one was a clear drop. The other one was one in which the receiver had a foot out of bounds. But the 3 touchdowns at the start, 2 to DeAndre Hopkins, one was the OPI that shouldn't have been. The other one was a slant play that was pretty easy to hit. He hits a little bit behind DeAndre Hopkins, but all in all, made it. We don't care. And the next one was clearly just blown coverage where he just has to toss it up in the air. DeAndre Hopkins ran under it. Touchdown. That is not to take away from him at all. He looked good, but I do just want to say, all right, let's not overhype it. Very good debut. We'll see how it goes. To me, that was more due to the Falcons selling out to stop the run because they're more worried about Derrick Henry. I would say Ryan Tannehill makes those first 3 touchdowns. The last one was the one that was eye-popping where he's rolling out to his right, hits the receiver who was open as well, but he leads them in stride across the field into the end zone. Very good play. But if he struggles against the Steelers, who are able to get home, that wouldn't be shocking. So we look at the prop line that we are getting for Will Levis. 202 for passing yards is pretty low regardless. Now, he only is projected to get 183. Whether you guys care about that, that's really up to you guys with the projection data. But he's not going to have as efficient of a night passing. We'll see. I mean, the Steelers, man, they let Lawrence get away with some kind of iffy throws as well. But all in all, I do think they're going to be able to game plan a little bit better for Will Levis. So to me, I'm probably just staying away from that. I guess this is my long way of saying that the offense is not going to be hurt with Will Levis there. And maybe it benefits from it. Now, Ryan Tannehill's been getting a lot of slack and hatred this season for really facing 2 of the better defenses in the league in Cleveland and Cincy. The game that was kind of alarming was the Saints. Some plays there weren't his fault. But all in all, where this offense is successful is establishing the run with Derrick Henry, then hitting on play action passes downfield. And the reason why I think that was so open is because they were just like, all right, we're really concentrating on Henry in this game, which, to be honest, didn't really work. Derrick Henry was a beast in this game and really had himself a good game. So did Tajay Spears, for what that's worth as well. And if you were watching the Jaguars game, Spears looks a lot like Etienne, especially in some of the gadgety ways that Etienne gets used. So we could see Spears honestly have a pretty darn good game in this one as well. And now we look at the snaps, because I do think that this is kind of a good talking point as well. Treylon Burks was back playing 50% of the snaps. Let's just say Will Levis is really good at hitting the deep ball like that. You know, we really only saw, I don't even know if we really saw one play for sure that says he is good at hitting the deep ball, but he was good at not messing up the deep ball, which a lot of quarterbacks in the league, you can't say that for. Treylon Burks is someone that can get open downfield. Treylon Burks is someone that, all in all, you would have thought would have been the receiver number 1 in this offense had he stayed healthy. Now, he is someone that only had 2 targets in that game, but if we're talking about scheming open a play on a play action to arguably your best receiver. Guys, don't get me wrong, DeAndre Hopkins looked really good, but a lot of what he does is not what Treylon Burks does well. Like Treylon Burks is quicker, faster, more of a downfield threat. And I know Hopkins had 2 touchdowns down the field. And we don't really, like, I didn't see anything too much that would suggest he's like really banged up from that knee injury, but he is coming off a knee injury. My point here is that Burks could have an opportunity to hit a big play downfield. And so the fact that we're getting such a low number on him for 25.5 receiving yards, that to me is definitely an interesting one that we're getting on this slate. As long as he does play more snaps as well, like if he can play even 65% of the snaps in this game, I think we have a good chance for him to hit that over. And for what it's worth, if we look at, the first 2 games really where he played a lot, I don't really care about the game against Cleveland, just a great defense. 18 receiving yards, 76 receiving yards, and we do know that offense kind of struggled against the Saints. And so we just look at some of the other props that we were gaining in this game. We got Tajay Spears at 15.5 receiving yards. I don't know, this kind of screams one that I would want to take the over on. Now we know it's a little bit game flow dependent, and like I said, this game could be ugly. It's a low scoring game, but given how successful like ETN was a little bit in the passing game there, I just don't see how they don't try to get Tajay Spears more involved in the passing game. Now, maybe we just go with the receptions-based prop once it is available. The issue is it probably won't be. Rush yards in this game, again, I leave that game thinking, man, you need to get more touches to him. Now, Derrick Henry looked good and all that, and they did a really good job of, once again, scheming up plays to be open, and we love that. But Spears is just making eye-popping plays. So the Steelers' defense is susceptible to giving up runs as well. You could potentially do both Henry and Spears for over. Like, I do think that they'll combine for over 100 rush yards. I'm actually curious, are we getting any combo prop for those two? We're not just yet. Like, that would be a good approach to go with. And for what's worth, like the Treylon Burks receiving prop, it is basically a 50-50 split there. And so I think I would rather bet the over on one of the sports books. Once again, I just always like to remind people that are maybe new to props betting on PrizePicks or Underdog, you are going to be best to go with props to give you about a 54% likelihood to hit. That's like the whole point of PrizePicks and Underdog prop betting, is that they aren't really adjusting the payout structure, whereas DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, those companies are based off of the odds that are out there. No, the payout structure stays the same. So if we can get a prop that has a 52% likelihood for Thursday Night Football, obviously long term we want to be looking at 54% or higher, but like this one for Tajay Spears is seemingly a very good one at 14.5. That is one where we are getting an edge. Now I do want to talk about Westbrook here as well. Westbrook is someone who really was one of Ryan Tannehill's favorite targets, and he was the player that was open on the opposite side of the end zone and really had good ball skills to go out and catch that pass. He only had 2 targets in that game. Okay. And once again, Tannehill is the one that loves him. And so that's where I'm like, all right, maybe Burks steps up into a little bit bigger role. It's not like Westbrook has been bad. He's played his part well enough, but they are hurting for Burks. And so that's where I kind of like him a little bit more. The one I'm worried about is honestly DeAndre Hopkins, especially if he is banged up, non-participant. Now, I don't think we're worried about that at all. But he is coming in off of the best game of his season thus far. And the targets have been heavy. Don't get me wrong there as well. Like everything has looked fine. I think I'd rather do a receptions-based prop on him rather than banking on, some long big plays being open. All in all, I'm probably just staying away from DeAndre Hopkins. Now we go ahead and take a peek here at the Pittsburgh Steelers and their snap counts. I would say everyone that has been watching them would say Najee Harris does not look bad, but he's looked more like A.J. Dillon than he has Derrick Henry. Not exactly someone you need your offense flowing through. And to me, they need to start giving Jaylen Warren more of the Austin Eckler treatment rather than the Tajay Spears treatment. Jaylen Warren, every single game, is making big pop plays, really getting the offense going as well. He finally got 50% of the snaps last week, and you just hope that that's a sign of things to come. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, Najee Harris does not look bad. He's actually looked pretty good at times. Like, he's not the issue, but to have a kind of big bulldozer running back that's going to make a defender look stupid by throwing him down to the ground while he gets 3.5 yards, like that's not keeping the defense honest enough. It's kind of easy to scheme against that. Now, I do think having Deontay Johnson back is going to be big for this offense. Johnson came back and looked like himself. George Pickens had a near awesome sideline catch again. He actually did his little jump in the air where normally he just jumps into a defender. No, this time it worked. He jumped in between 2 defenders. I think he scored mostly because of the rain. The defenders weren't able to grip on him and hug him down. It was a fun play. But those 2 are the 2 that we know are probably going to be the most predictable in terms of production. I don't think we want to be touching Allen Robinson. And we did see Calvin Austin pretty involved for a guy that only played 25% of the snaps. Like, this is crazy to me. Like, there's no way Allen Robinson played 70% of the snaps and Calvin Austin only played 25. Because I'll show you guys. Allen Robinson, 1 target. Calvin Austin, 2 targets, 2 rushing attempts. That's where it's like, there's no way that that's how the snap broke out. Oh, it's always funny seeing that sometimes, because when you're watching it, it doesn't seem like it. And so we look at some of these props that we are getting for the Steelers. Do we want to touch Najee Harris at all? I don't think so. We know Tennessee has been pretty good against stopping the run. And the one that I kind of like would be something like Jaylen Warren for over his rushing yards at 24.5. Hopefully he gets a little bit more involved. And honestly, hopefully he gets like a 3rd down draw on 3rd and long. A couple of those where he's picking up a big chunk of yards. But although those two seem like ones we want to stay away from, I actually might like Jaylen Warren a little bit more for the receiving prop. Once again, that's kind of dependent on them really having a screenplay to him. They do need to get him more involved. And if we get a combo like this for Jaylen Warren and it's reasonable, I might just want to roll with that. But right now, we're not getting great ones. Maybe we're looking at a receptions prop for him. Once again, we're not getting that as well. Overall, I think he's going to be useful for fantasy score. Like if it's at 10.5, I probably would be betting the over there for him. For Najee Harris, I don't think I want to touch him. Now, he looked fine in the passing game the last couple of games, but at the same time, get Jaylen Warren involved. Now we look at the passing yards for Kenny Pickett. We know Tennessee does struggle against the defense. I don't think we can really accurately say that this was a true indication of how he played. It was wet, rainy. He got out in that game. The question is, how healthy is he going to be? Because if he's healthy, I probably would like the over there, and then I probably would be looking at some over receiving yards. Now, Deontay Johnson at 56.5 receiving yards. I think that is too low going against this Titans defense. I do think he's going to be able to feast against them. He should be able to. He looked good. He looked like himself, thankfully. And so I'm wondering what his receptions prop is going to be at, because if it's at like around 5, like 5.5, 5, I'm betting the over there. I think that's just the correct move. He should be targeted heavily, and I do think he will be. And so he'd be someone I would want to be betting the over there. For George Pickens, it wasn't shocking to see him kind of take a step back role in the offense with Deontay Johnson back. He's not that guy. He's not that player that you need to design plays to necessarily. He does struggle to get open in man-to-man situations, but he does look good. He's probably a little bit underutilized, to be honest with you. But the issue is that Deontay Johnson is just so open, and the offense just hasn't been all too productive as well. All in all, you would say that he probably should be getting the football more. And it's weird that they keep designing plays to Calvin Austin instead of trying to get George Pickens the ball. I think I'd rather just do Deontay Johnson, but if you're running out Kenny Pickett for over passing yards, then you might want to pair it with George Pickens. Now, I'm curious if we're going to get any more props for Calvin Austin. I don't want to touch Allen Robinson. I would say chances are he's not going to get like a big play, but that's all it is. Like, it's not that hard for a player that's playing 70% of the snaps, pretty much doing cardio, to hit one big play. Not even. I mean, 15 passing yards, that's not even that big. Like, he just schemed open. He's a forgotten man there. Won't be too shocking. And so typically this would be the time that I give you guys a bet of the day for the day. But right now, PrizePicks is down. And just as an FYI, like, I did record this video probably 2.5 hours ago now. I wanted to wait until we started to get some more props in there, like reception-based props and whatnot. So on my end, it's still showing up in there. I did mention if Deontay Johnson was at 5 or 5.5, I'd be betting the over. I want to roll with that one. I feel like that is a very good one that we are getting on the slate. So that's what I'm going to be targeting. Okay. Now, we are seeing that really the average sportsbook has it at 4.5. Some of them have it at 5, but it's a very high likelihood that happens. And I don't know, against this Tennessee defense, I do think that they're going to be able to get targets his way, and they should. I mean, their run game last year at times was just getting the ball into Deontay Johnson's hands in 1st and 10, obviously, making it 2nd and 6. Even 2nd and 7 was the option that they chose to go with a lot. So that's not a bad one. I still like Jaylen Warren for over 24.5 rush yards as well. I want to see if we're getting any receptions props though for those running backs, and as it sits right now, we are not. That is something we need to be on the lookout for. We are getting some tackles and assist props. None of those are really standing out just yet. Now we'll flip it over and we'll get into underdog because we do have some props there, but really the best one that we have is Najee Harris for under 9.5 receiving yards. We can see that is a 1 yard difference. That can be the big thing on a slate where, it adds up in the long term. And then looking at underdog props, we're really not getting that much. Once again, though, I do like receptions there. Not touching Connor Hayward. A lot of his production last week actually came in garbage time, so just be cautious there. To me, guys, I really don't see a bet of the day right now as I'm recording this video. I will be coming out with a props video tomorrow, just touching on the best prop bets for Thursday. Be on the lookout for that one. That is going to be all for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell as well so you're not missing out on any of the best EV bets out there. I tried to start the video out with those when we had them. We didn't have them tonight, sorry. Thanks for watching. That's all. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.